Okay, so you're coming from the leadership perspective, which is a little different than a rank and file member. So talk to me a little bit about your impressions on social media and how it influences conversations within your office and how, just over how you think it influences how you all look at things.
Sure. For one respect, I think that most of our decisions are made based on the pulse of the membership. And so how social media plays into that is, I think it affects every member differently. But what we look at is where the trends go with our membership, whether there's 10 members, 15 members, 100 members that want to go in a certain direction versus the other, we're going to go with where our membership is. Social media, I wouldn't say that the leader necessarily makes any decisions based off of his particular social media, but it does affect him in the sense of what are his constituents are saying. He takes that into account. But at the end of the day, when he's deciding not as a congressman for California 23, but as a leadership staff and what's best for the conference, it's based on what the members want. And through that, you do find trends of social media, particularly from, I think, swayed from outside groups and the larger masses, the pressure and what trends on social media pushes members a certain way or the other. Yes, that absolutely plays into it and their decision making, but I would say that's kind of, I don't know if that's helpful, but.
Yeah, do you, I know that we're all to some point influenced by the 24-hour news cycle and cable news. Do you think that social media has reached that level of influence?
No, I think it's competitive though. I don't think it has. I think that there's a certain type of person that's active on social media. I think the broader public is influenced by cable television. However, I do think that it's absolutely increased over the past 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years. And there's significant gains. But I think that you'll find more polarizing voices on social media and more active. So you get kind of the middle of the road, the moms, the ones that are paying attention to their kids and their sports. I think that they are kind of more apt to looking at, yes, they're a part of social media and they get on that, but it's more to talk about what their baby's soccer game or whatever. But as far as the opinionated, I see it as more polarizing voices and the more loud voices, more active Republican, constituencies and the liberal constituencies. But yeah, no, I think it's trending and I do think it has a huge influence, and it's only going upwards, but I don't know that it's reached, from my personal opinion, reached the cable news outreach.
Do you think that there's a weighing factor between a Facebook post or a tweet versus a more substantive interaction like a meeting? Or do you think they're weighed the same?
I think that first of all, I think Facebook and Twitter are very different, but I think Twitter's more inside the Beltway and has a very low percentage of a reach to actual constituencies out in America. I think Facebook has a much more reach for just the normal population throughout America. But look, I think that they spread faster. I think that your 10-second clips can catch like wildfire and go to a broader base of constituencies, and we see that all the time. We see that things start trending, whether it's accurate or not, which is difficult to combat. But as far as a face-to-face meeting, I think it's definitely more substantive, but as far as the reach or influence, it doesn't compare.
Overall, in leadership and having to herd all the cats, do you, has social media made it, as social media grows, especially in the last 2 to 3 years, as you pointed out, has it made it easier, or more difficult, or no change in doing your job?
His leadership, I would say more difficult. But I do think it's good for the institution. I think it's good for transparency. I think that the frustration amongst leadership is that the ability for any sort of false information that gets out there and that penetrates, large masses of people, it is extremely hard to combat. And it doesn't matter sometimes it doesn't matter whether it's true or it's false. If that is what is being explained to their member of Congress, then it's much easier for the member of Congress to go with, I guess, the easy 10-second talking point versus explaining to each and every single one. Well, actually, this is factual. I'm a member of Congress. I know the knowledge because I sit on this committee of jurisdiction because I know the policy. Yeah, it's harder when you start explaining. So I think it makes it more difficult. But I do think it's, in a sense, good for transparency.
Yeah. Okay. Last question, because I know you have to run. One of the reasons why I decided to do this, and I think down the line I'll probably do my dissertation on something similar, but I remember when I was a junior staffer, we would raise the debt ceiling. Members would get their pay raises. The Accent Bank was never an issue. Before social media, before the big move of the 24-hour news cycle. Now we can't get any of these things through, or at least it shuts the government down, right? And maybe not the pay raise because they didn't even try it. So my thought was, okay, I'm going to attribute this somewhat to the 24-hour news cycle because now people know what a debt ceiling is.
Yeah, it's good for education.
Yeah.
In a sense.
But then it's gridlock. So I guess my question would be, do you think that, and maybe I'd love the witness here, but do you think that social media is playing a role in the gridlock that we see right now?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think social media, social media is used to raise money. And not only is it used to put out slanted information and quickly, and it is accessible to anybody with an iPhone, right? Yeah, absolutely. It's used to raise money for particular interest groups. It absolutely has to do with the gridlock, and it sways our membership into pulling, I think, to the further right, or I would assume with the Democrats, a further left, more this populist type talk and movement, I think does stem a lot from social media. I do, because as you've seen social media increase, and this is obviously a personal opinion, you've seen polarization in the parties increase too. I think that has to do with a lot of different, redrawing of the lines. Yes, it has a lot to do, gerrymandering has a lot to do with that too, but also social media, I think the way that we just receive news has significantly changed and has definitely affected the gridlock.